All right, so it gives me great pleasure to welcome Anthony Rice from PeoplePartners to the stage. Welcome, Anthony. Oh, good to see you.
Where's my music?
Are we on?
Nope.
There we are. I think
There
we're
we
on now.
go.
Excellent.
Hey,
Anthony,
everyone.
it's great to see you. We've got around about 15 minutes now to sort of link those sessions together.
Fantastic, 15.
We sort of saw a show of hands before around outsourcing or offshoring.
Yes.
A varying degree of people, yes, no, maybe. Firstly, tell us a little bit about PeoplePartners, and let's talk then a little bit more about offshoring.
Yeah, and thanks for that, actually. I wasn't prepared to have any time to speak about us. But yeah, so PeoplePartners, we've been around for about 11 years now. Our major niche is supporting mortgage broking and supporting all of yourselves, whether you're solo brokers or whether you have middle-sized or large firms. Our role is to look for key staff that you need in your practices to free up your time, recruit them, and then employ them for you, handling all those pesky things like compliance, payroll, IT, etc. And the staff that we find and employ for you work solely for you.
So, Anthony, this is not new. Offshoring's been around for a fair while. Now, your PeoplePartners is based in the Philippines?
Correct. So we do our work based in the Philippines. You know, we every quarter, every year, we search other markets across the globe, but we always find we get exactly what we need from the Philippines in terms of language, in terms of culture, in terms of communication, abilities to follow workflows, which is fantastic for this industry. So yeah, that's where we're based.
So, Anthony, I offshored probably a decade ago, and we've still got offshore staff now. My brokerage, we had about 20 offshore staff. It's come a long way. What are some of the myths in offshoring?
The myths, I said this in Perth, actually. I didn't say it last week in Adelaide, but I did say it in Perth, I remembered. One broker, before she started with us, she said this, it was the best line I've ever heard. She goes, I just want someone to come in after I sleep, or when I'm sleeping, little fairies. I want little fairies to float in, handle everything so when I wake up in the morning, everything's fine. Now, that is a myth because you're dealing with people. You're just dealing with your staff 4,000 kilometres down the corridor instead of 3 metres down the corridor. So the myth is that you don't need to invest in your staff. Just like an Australian staff, your Filipino staff are going to need your attention and your guidance. But that's okay, because that's how you grow a great team.
Anthony, I mentioned before, I was talking about for the people here today that they've got to think radically differently about recruitment and the things that we ask our people to do, like vals and pricing and discharge, supply online, etc. It's not working here. Why are people not thinking that offshoring is a natural progression to get those things done? What are we missing? What's the missing link? And some of these things are unscripted, so Anthony doesn't know I'm going to ask these questions.
I'm being asked these, and I'm drawing on, I met a couple of clients this morning, so I am drawing on some conversations I had with them. So it's why it's not being thought of?
Yeah, what's broken in this thing of going, well, hang on, that's a natural solution. Lots of brokers are doing it. Then what's holding me back?
Yeah, I think it's just fear of the unknown. Because it's not just yourselves, by the way. When I speak this way, or when I say at any occasion what we do, like these exhibitors need us as well. So it will be a fear of the unknown. Now, for those of you that have already employed Australian staff, you're 3/4 of the way there. This is no different. We now live in a remote world where everyone works on Teams, Zoom, WebEx, chats, WhatsApp, Viber, etc. So there's no difference. So that may have held people back before COVID, but since COVID, you're already doing this anyway. So the mission is to go, I've got all these roles or all these tasks that I'm doing, and I'm paying, 50, 60, 100,000 a year to do them. Well, why can't you pay 15,000 a year? Why can't you pay 25,000 a year? So the idea is two things. Number one is to get a 70% reduction in your labour. And number two, as I was saying to our clients at breakfast this morning, is to access a global market. Right now, you're only accessing staff in your local market. You don't need to.
So, Anthony, one of the upsides that we found with offshoring was that from a scaling perspective, we could get 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, whereas here we could only get 1 and 2. So cost was, we understood that was important, but it really was the trigger for us to be able to scale. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're seeing that are working with those that are offshoring?
Yeah, definitely. So again, one of the things that I see, particularly whether we're starting with business owners with size or solo brokers, is to start with if you're sitting here and you've never thought of this before, this is a really simple, old school way to do it, is what roles or what tasks do I not like to do, or am I not good at? Okay, and then if you've got key players, if you employ in Australia and you've got key players, you're not going to redundate them. They're going to stick around, but we want to scale or make everyone's life easier. You'll look at them and go, okay, what tasks are they not good at, or do they not like, but they've been lumped with because we're busy? And then we get all of those together and they will create roles. And that's the way to scale, because 100%, when you're reducing your labour by 70%, you can get 2, 3, 4 staff for every 1 staff. And don't think for 1 minute that these staff are going to somehow be inferior. We had a client this morning. I'll try not to look at him and embarrass him, but it was really interesting because he's just starting his journey with us, but he was telling me a story of how this key staff member is driving an initiative educating him. And I thought that was fascinating, because that's the game as leaders. We want our staff to come to us with ideas that we can then have. So yeah, don't think that your Filipino staff that we help you find and employ are going to some way be inferior. They're going to be just as good, if not better.
Anthony, I mentioned before that what we're doing now is, this is actually broken. So when we think about those tasks and but we're offshoring these tasks, I can tell you right now, your people don't want to do those things now. So we're going to lose those people domestically if we don't get rid of those things. Can you give the audience today some tips or some things that they need to be thinking about to get ready to outsource? How do I prepare to outsource?
Well, the thing to remember is processes and systems are great to have. So for those of you that have workflows, have processes, systems in place so that your staff or yourself know what to do at every step of the game, that is really, really going to help you with training and onboarding staff. But I've also seen the inverse. So at the risk of saying the complete opposite, I've seen so many business owners of size or solos that unless they hired with us offshore, they would never have developed their systems and processes, because it's just like, screw it, I'll do it myself. And I mean, how many, and again, I've got examples of people with 30 staff and I've got examples of people with 1 staff where it's like, I'll just do it myself. But that's never going to free up your time to scale yourself or to give you a better lifestyle. So systems and processes are great, but whether you've got them prepared or whether hiring offshore staff makes you go, oh crap, what do I do here? Let's develop a checklist. Whatever way it comes, that will help you.
So to take this to a practical level, what are some of the tools that you could recommend, or are there any tools to get them ready? So things like Loom, or we use things like Lucid charts to do things like process maps. Is there anything that you're seeing now that people are using that's making the transition to offshoring easier for them?
You're doing a good job of asking me questions I haven't heard today.
Because I'm curious about this. I'm so sorry.
Allow me to, off the cuff, educate as best I can to help. Yeah, so definitely Loom. And what Jace is referring, for those of you who don't know what that is, I think this is where you're going. A really good way to train staff is to record either yourself or your staff members doing work. And that way you're duplicating. And we do this, I've never spoken about this before, but we do this as well. You want to develop playbooks. So as you build and recruit staff, taking notes, well done, I'm teaching the teacher. You want to develop playbooks, because here's the thing, as you scale, and we believe in segmentation. If we work with you, we'll talk to you about narrow roles and segmenting. So you want to be able to go, if something goes wrong, or if I scale, or if I need 3 people in that role, or if someone leaves, you only want to have to replace that little piece in the puzzle rather than having to teach another you. That's hard. Duplication is not the best way to grow, folks. It's segmentation. But using things like Loom, recording yourself, there's a million tools out there. So any way that you can record your screen, record your phone calls, and develop a playbook of processes so that when you start new staff, you can go, great, let's have this meeting, and now go away, and for the next 3 hours of your onboarding, please watch those 6 videos, or please read those 6 checklists and stuff like that. So yes, whatever tool you have to use with technology to record what you do will duplicate your time.
So to take the counter question to that, what drives you insane or bonkers when you're seeing brokers come in? How are you managing their expectations that they're not going to have someone that can write credit on day one or that will know their CRM day one? Are there a few things that you see done poorly that make the whole experience get off to a bad start?
Communication is probably a poor one. Again, if you've had employees and you've got a big office-centric culture and you only have 1 or 2 offshore staff, it's sometimes ignoring them. So it's really important to communicate with your staff. They just are 4,000 kilometres down the hallway. Okay, so communicate with them and invest in them. You are growing a team, and knowing the situation of a number of you in this room, or at least effectively your avatar, because you do have similarities, you do need this strategy. You need it, because you cannot grow when you have to make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year to pay your labour force. So it's okay. You don't need to completely turn everyone to offshore and we'll find you everyone. It's okay to have onshore staff. You know, you just need to pick who does what. And with the advent of AI, we're doing a lot of stuff with AI and taking a lot of our client staff on a retreat in a couple of weeks. We'll be teaching them because we want to make your staff more productive. So we're driving them into the future because that's where you guys are going. So, yeah.
So you mentioned staff and some things you're doing in the Philippines. Can you tell us a little bit about the culture and what some of the things you see that really bring joy to your people up in the Philippines?
Yeah, so it is a big cultural focus in the Philippines. So we do a lot of work around engagement with your staff. So we will do, they'll get, when we hire them for you and employ them, we'll do welcome gifts and chocolates and, cheeses and wines and all sorts of stuff. They'll get Halloween presents, Christmas presents, birthday presents, parties, etc. But the two really big things are the upskilling retreats that we do to teach them things to help them in your business. But also what we're seeing a lot of is in our town halls. So for our clients that have less than 10 staff, what we do is we get them together, sometimes every fortnight, sometimes every month on Teams, and we'll, teach them, educate them, give them updates, but we'll also play games so they can have that big community with other client staff, and they'll see other people in the same remote at home or office culture as they will, and they'll win prizes. We'll deposit money into their bank account. So we'll do a lot of really cool stuff to make sure they're super sticky. So they love working for you, but of course we make them sticky in behind you, that they love that culture. So yeah, huge culturally driven country, really.
Would you encourage brokers to go and visit PeoplePartners in Manila?
Yeah, you're more than welcome, particularly since COVID. 90, I'd say 8% of our clients now practice remote at home, whereas before COVID, every one of our clients had all their staff in our offices in the IBM building in Quezon City, the tech hub. But now because of our cybersecurity and IT, most of our clients choose to have their staff remote at home. So we've got lovely appointed offices. You can come and visit, bring your staff in there for a few days to work, use our boardrooms. Are more than welcome, but it's not necessary either at all. So it's completely up to you. You don't need to visit. You can still have an enormous team and be speaking to them on Teams, Zoom, WebEx every day, no difference.
So Anthony, while we're running with questions that you aren't prepped for,
test me.
What are you most proud of with PeoplePartners, and what's one last key message you want to give the audience today?
We're an employer of choice now. It's really been made clear to us that employees in the Philippines are actively seeking out roles in PeoplePartners. So we have many people across the country that want to work for PeoplePartners and therefore want to work for you. And we do that because of our amazing hospital insurance packages, our engagement programs, and we treat people like people as opposed to numbers. And we'll tell you to do the same, okay? They are your people. So we're really proud of those engagements and really proud of our reputation. And the last part was
one last message.
Oh well, we are exhibiting up the back, and today is a little bit different because you have myself and Ruben. We're both co-founders, so we're both owners of the company. So it's a really good opportunity for you to come up, meet us. We'd love to answer your questions. We'd love to figure out how we can support you and hear about your story. So we're here. So please use us and pepper us with a million questions. Can't wait to meet you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Rice from PeoplePartners, put your hands together. It's been an absolute delight. Thank you very much. If you're not super curious about this now, by God, you should be. Please do go and have this conversation. Talk to people around you that are doing this now, because this is going to be one of the things that people are going to have to do in our industry if we want to get to the next stage in the journey. So, Anthony, good to see you, mate. Well done. Thank you so much.